Right now, in a sealed engineering lab somewhere on the Apple campus in Cupertino, a pair of glasses weighing less than 50 grams is being passed from hand to hand. They look almost like regular eyewear. Premium acetate frame, slim temples, vertically oriented camera lenses tucked into the corners. But what is hiding inside that 50-gram shell is the most ambitious computing platform Apple has attempted since the original iPhone in 2007. Some of the people who have worn it inside that building believe it is the device that finally replaces the smartphone in your pocket. And what is staggering is the timeline. We are not talking about some far-off science fiction reveal. The first generation is targeted for retail shelves in 2027. Production has already begun. The suppliers are locked. And as we are recording this, the entire mobile computing industry is quietly bracing for the shift. This is the story of how Apple is about to detonate the smartphone era it spent 2 decades building. And the crazy part is, almost nobody is paying attention to how close it actually is. Let me take you back to 2016. Tim Cook, sitting for an interview, says something that at the time sounded almost ridiculous. He tells the interviewer that a significant part of the population, eventually all developed countries, will have augmented reality experiences every single day. He compares it to eating 3 meals a day. That is how baked in he expects it to become. People wrote it off as a CEO daydreaming about a future product line. They were dead wrong. Because for the next 10 years, Cook quietly turned that vision into the single most expensive bet Apple has ever made. In 2017, Apple launches ARKit, the developer toolkit that turns every iPhone into an augmented reality lens. The next year, Apple buys a small Colorado company called holographics. owns more than 200 patents in waveguide optics, the exact technology you need to project full-color images through a transparent lens that looks like ordinary glass. Then comes a string of acquisitions almost nobody outside the industry noticed. A mixed reality headset maker, a facial expression analysis startup, a motion capture company, a computer vision firm. Piece by piece, Apple was assembling every component of a head-worn computer. And then came 2024, the unveiling of the Vision Pro headset. $3,499, 600 grams of weight pressed against your face, a device that critics called a misfire, a bloated experiment, a product nobody asked for. They were also dead wrong, because Vision Pro was never the destination. It was a stepping stone, a high-priced developer kit dressed up as a consumer product, designed to do exactly one thing: build the operating system, the gestures, the spatial audio, and the visual interface that the real product would eventually inherit. Apple sold roughly 500,000 units of it. From a pure sales standpoint, that is a footnote on Apple's balance sheet. But the data it collected, the developers it attracted, and the user behaviors it documented were worth far more than the revenue. Here is where it gets interesting. Sometime in 2025, behind the scenes, something snapped at Apple. The internal group responsible for spatial computing, the one that built the Vision Pro, gets fractured. The hardware engineers are absorbed into the main hardware division. The software teams are quietly moved under the same executive who runs all of Apple's operating systems. The man who led the Vision Pro project, the architect of the whole experience, is reassigned. His new job? Rebuild Siri from the ground up. On the surface, it looked like a demotion. In reality, it was the most strategically important move Apple had made all decade. Because the next product, the one being built right now, does not have a screen. It cannot have a screen yet. So Siri, the voice in your ear, becomes the entire user interface, and the architect of spatial computing is the one writing it. The internal code name is N50. It is being engineered as a direct mass-market challenger to the smart glasses that have quietly sold over 1 million units in the last 2 years for a certain Menlo Park social media company. Apple's project is described inside the company as a stepping stone, a first wave, an on-ramp to get hundreds of millions of consumers comfortable wearing a camera and a microphone on their face, with an AI listening, before the real holographic version arrives in 2028. So what is inside? Let us pull this thing apart. The first thing to understand is what is not in the first generation. There is no display, none. No projection into the lens, no tiny screen in the corner of your vision. Internal reporting confirms this was a deliberate choice. The engineers ran the numbers and concluded that adding a working display and a depth sensor to the first generation would either kill the battery in under 3 hours or push the weight past 100 grams. Either outcome destroys the all-day wearability that makes the entire product viable. So Apple made a hard call. The first generation is audio first, camera first, AI first. The display version comes later. What is in there is genuinely impressive engineering. 2 cameras built into vertically oriented oval housings, an industrial design break from the round circular cutouts everyone else uses. One is a high-resolution sensor for photo and video capture. The second is a lower-resolution, wide-angle camera dedicated entirely to computer vision, scanning the world continuously to identify what you are looking at, where your hands are, what gestures you are making. Spatial audio is fired into your ear from miniaturized directional speakers built into the temples, and there is no main processor in the traditional sense. The glasses themselves carry a custom ultra-low-power Apple chip that acts as a sensor hub. The heavy lifting, the generative AI, the visual analysis, the language translation, all of that is offloaded wirelessly to the iPhone in your pocket through a proprietary low-latency link. That choice is the secret to the whole thing. It is the same playbook Apple ran with the original Apple Watch in 2015. Tether to the phone, let the phone do the work, keep the wearable thin and light. It worked then. It is about to work again. Now here is the engineering problem that nearly killed this product twice. Heat. When you pack a chip, 2 cameras, multiple radios, and a battery into a frame that sits on your face, you generate heat. And human skin is incredibly sensitive to even small temperature changes, especially around the eyes and ears. Earlier prototypes were reportedly canceled because the wireless link to the iPhone drained the host phone too fast and made the glasses themselves uncomfortably warm. So Apple's engineers did something extraordinary. They redesigned the hinge. In patent filings, the new hinge is described as a heat highway. The system on a chip is deliberately positioned toward the outer wall of the temple arm, away from the skin. Thermal energy is then channeled through graphite and copper heat spreaders, routed across the physical hinge of the glasses, and dissipated through the outer surface of the frame. The hinge is no longer just a mechanical joint. It is a literal radiator. And because of how it is engineered, the warmth never reaches the side of your head. It gets better. Apple is reportedly testing at least 4 different frame styles, including a large Wayfarer rectangular shape, a slim rectangular design that looks almost exactly like the glasses Tim Cook personally wears, a large oval, and a smaller circular frame. Colors include black, ocean blue, and a light brown. The frames are made from premium acetate, a plant-based plastic that is lighter, more flexible, and crucially, more luxurious than the cheap injection molded plastic competitors use. This is a fashion product disguised as a computer. But how do you control a computer with no display and no touchscreen while you are walking down a sidewalk? This is where it gets wild. Apple has published research on a system internally referred to as EMBridge. It is an AI model trained to recognize hand gestures from electromyography signals, the tiny electrical pulses your wrist muscles emit every time you intend to move a finger. Combined with patents already on file, the picture is clear. Apple is preparing for a future where you can flick a finger to skip a song, pinch your thumb and forefinger to take a photo, or rotate your wrist to scroll. And the glasses do not have to see your hand at all. The Apple Watch on your wrist reads the muscle signal directly. The cameras on the glasses handle the broader gestures like pointing at an object to ask what it is. And then there is the voice. Apple Intelligence, the on-device and private cloud AI architecture that Apple has been quietly threading through every operating system, becomes the interface. Software code analysis has already revealed dramatically expanded visual intelligence features being built into the next major iPhone software update. Look at a foreign street sign, the glasses translate it. Siri speaks the translation directly into your ear. Look at a plant in a garden, you get the species name. Look at a phone number on a business poster, it adds itself to your contacts. Look at a nutrition label on a product in a store, you get an instant breakdown. There is even research suggesting Apple is exploring silent voice input, using inward-facing sensors to read subtle facial and lip movements so you can issue commands without ever speaking out loud. Stand in a crowded subway, mouth the word "call mom," and the call begins. Let me hit you with the scale comparisons because this is where the engineering achievement becomes truly absurd. The current Vision Pro weighs around 600 grams. The target weight for these new glasses is roughly 48 to 50 grams. That is 1/12 the mass. Apple is attempting to compress the spatial computing capabilities of a small lunchbox-sized headset into a form factor that weighs less than the iPhone in your pocket. For context, a standard pair of prescription frames weighs about 25 to 35 grams. Apple is asking for a tolerance window of roughly 15 extra grams to deliver a face-worn supercomputer. And this is the part nobody is talking about loudly enough. The launch platform for this product is already in place. As of 2025, there are roughly 1.5 billion active iPhones in the world. Every single one of them is a potential compute engine for these glasses. Apple does not need to convince a single customer to buy a separate computer to make this product work. The infrastructure is already in their pockets. No other technology company on Earth has that kind of launchpad ready and waiting. The numbers are staggering on every dimension. In a single recent fiscal quarter, Apple's research and development spending hit an all-time record of $11.4 billion. That is one quarter, 3 months of spending, up 34% year over year. To put that in perspective, Apple's quarterly R&D budget is now large enough to fund the entire James Webb Space Telescope, the most complex scientific instrument ever launched into space, every 3 months. Tim Cook himself addressed it on the earnings call, telling analysts the company is clearly investing more, that R&D is accelerating even faster than the company itself is growing. Industry analysts attribute the bulk of that surge to 2 things: generative artificial intelligence and spatial computing hardware. Of course, none of this is guaranteed. Let me give you the honest red flags. Manufacturing yield on the true augmented reality version, the one with waveguide projection and full-color displays, is still brutal. To project an image onto a transparent lens, you have to stack multiple microscopic glass substrates, coat them, and cut them at precise 45-degree angles. Keeping those coated surfaces perfectly parallel becomes exponentially harder as the field of view increases. Tap the bell so you do not miss the moment the next computing platform officially ships. And if you have an opinion on whether Apple actually pulls this off, drop it in the comments. We want to hear from the believers and the skeptics. The most interesting takes always come from you. Because right now, in a lab in Cupertino, on a production line in Taiwan, and inside the pockets of 1.5 billion future customers, the pieces are already in place. The future is no longer being announced. It is being assembled, and it is almost here.